never ever, and this is a PSA, free advice, never ever set up a 2 of 2 multisig. Why? Because it requires both devices to authorize. What happens if you lose one of those devices? You've lost your Bitcoin.
This is Bitcoin Basics Podcast with your host Ferris, that's me, and Gordon from Coin Compass. We're Bitcoin advisors and educators supporting business and individual investors to safely buy, manage, and control their private keys, Bitcoins. This podcast is strictly educational and is not intended to be financial or investment advice. Full disclaimer in the show notes and at the end of this episode.
Hi everyone, it's Gordon here, and just butting in before you watch or listen to this podcast. This is the 5th and final podcast in the Bitcoin Wallet series, so you might want to go ahead and listen and watch the previous ones if you haven't, or if you need a refresher, and the links are in the show notes. Now is actually a perfect time during the Mexican beer crisis, and I'm not trying to be funny, but trying to avoid YouTube censorship and their algorithms with their keywords, to improve your security hygiene and OPSEC and InfoSec. So we did an entire series on how to improve your security hygiene, which I'll link in the description of this podcast. And it goes through stuff like how to create a secure connection, how to use a VPN, how to use a password manager, etc. So now would be a perfect time to go ahead and improve your security hygiene. It's also a perfect time to get your Bitcoins off your exchanges and trading platforms or wherever else you have them and into your cold storage solution, which is more than likely a hardware wallet. And especially now, the prices are ridiculously cheap. So if you're waiting for that moment to buy, now would be a good time to pick up that Trezor, Ledger, or Cold Card. And if you did, we would appreciate using the link in the description, because that just throws a few dollars our way, but we are certainly not endorsed or sponsored by those manufacturers whatsoever. So far, we've given some really useful and practical advice regarding Bitcoin wallets, and in this video, multisig. But it is pretty general because everyone's use case is different, so there really isn't one size fits all. If you would like help on strategies of how to store your Bitcoin, especially for long term, feel free to contact us, coincompass.com/contact, and I'll also link some other resources in the show notes and description of this podcast. Last but certainly not least, can you please share this with your friends on social media? We don't ask for donations, we don't accept any advertising, because we want this podcast to remain ad-free so that we can give unbiased educational content and advice. So please go ahead and subscribe to our YouTube channel. We would appreciate it more than you could know. All right, without further ado, let's get to it.
Yeah, okay. So I think we've beaten the multi-signature horse to death. It's lying on the road. Well, actually, no. Don't arrest me. Yeah. Don't arrest me, Peter. I was talking about a virtual horse.
Well, so, I'm actually looking, from where I'm sitting, I'm looking at physical horses, and you're talking about virtual ones.
So yeah, really, multisig is kind of the holy grail if you can get it right. The problem is not all wallets offer multisig. So in my mind, and this is where we're really coming to, there is no one size fits all. A lot of people say, just move your Bitcoins from an exchange onto a hardware wallet. But again, you still got a lot of single point of failures. So if you can use a mobile wallet, and there are a couple around that use multisig, but even better, they are non-custodial mobile wallets that actually connect to your hardware wallet directly. So for example, if you've got a Trezor or a Ledger, instead of just using their inbuilt software, which you have to run on a desktop computer anyway, you can actually use another mobile wallet to connect to your hardware device. That gives you best of both worlds. It gives you multisig. It means that your Bitcoins or your private keys are not stored on the mobile phone. They're actually stored on your hardware device. And, well, I guess thirdly, you've also got no single point of failure in terms of manufacturer. So if you split up your hardware devices, you can sort of manage them through one mobile device for the three devices. So that is the holy grail of storing a Bitcoin. And if you do it properly with multisig, you don't even need to have your 24-word, 12-word passphrase. You're simply using what is called seedless, so no backup, no seed, multisig.
So with that, Gordon, just so I can rephrase it for us non-techie lay people to understand even better, and for everyone who's listening, Gordon is actually very skilled at explaining tech stuff in layperson. So he's one of the few that can do it. So if I understand that correctly, Gordon, what you can have is a multi-sig wallet, which basically means for a transaction to proceed, to send your Bitcoins to someone else, you need at least 2 of 3 people separately confirming that transaction. So if we were 2 of 3 people and we wanted to send Bitcoins to someone else, you would start the process, I would confirm it, or vice versa. You would do it on your mobile wallet, I would do it on mine. Okay, that's aspect number 1. But those
sorry, just to butt in there, it doesn't have to be 2 or 3. You can set up a multi-sig wallet however you want. And another common one is, 5 or 7. PSA, disclaimer,
I'm going to interrupt you there. Hang on. I'm going to, because you're not making this easier for me to explain to people. If you add more options of what we can do, we're never going to get there.
No. I have to say this in good conscience and I'll tell you why. So the most common one is 2 of 3, and you can set up all kinds of stuff. However, I've seen people set up a 2 of 2. Never, ever, and this is a PSA, free advice, never, ever set up a 2 of 2 multi-sig. Why? Because it requires both devices to authorize. What happens if you lose one of those devices? You've lost your Bitcoin.
Okay, very good point. Thank you. So back to the original analogy, if we have 2 mobile wallets and they're 2 of 3, 2 of those need to confirm a transaction.
Yeah.
But the beauty of that is those Bitcoins that you're sending are not actually stored on those phones or on those mobile wallets. So you could have 0 Bitcoins on your wallet, I would have 0 on mine. We are sending them from a cold storage device address. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct. Now, not all mobile phone wallets have that feature, but some of them do nowadays. And that, as you said, that's you kind
with that though. So with that option, if we're doing it that way, so it is multi-sig. You are using a cold storage device to store your Bitcoins. But if you're sending Bitcoin, if you're doing this often, aren't you exposing that cold storage device address?
Well, remember, the private keys are actually stored in that secure element or secure enclave on the hardware device, not on the mobile phone.
No, I mean the cold storage public address, because I thought that's something you wanted to avoid if you had a cold storage device, was using it often, because you don't want to be displaying the public address. The public. Well,
key. you have to display the public key. You got no choice.
So under that system, though, if you've got, you wouldn't use that for a lot of Bitcoins. Then what you're just describing, or would you?
Oh, you would. Yeah, no, you would. Yeah, you'd use it for like really heavy duty cold storage.
But wouldn't the concern be there? Okay, so that is just for moving large amounts of Bitcoins irregularly and seldomly. Is that correct?
You can use it for $5, but that would be an overkill. Yeah.
Okay, gotcha. That's what I wanted to check. That solution is for large quantities of Bitcoin, and it's not what you would use. It's not you wouldn't use it instead of using a mobile wallet for beer and coffee money. You wouldn't do that.
No, yeah. No, you're absolutely correct. That's a good distinction. And a use case could be a business, a small business that you have 3 people that don't really trust each other. So you set up a multi-sig wallet.
All right, cool. So with this, guys, I know we're using a lot of terminology that is basically industry speak, where multi-sig, cold storage, seedless, all that kind of stuff. If it sounds like it's too much, it's just as soon as you learn anything new, you learn a language that goes with it. These are things that we do cover in depth in our workshops and in our individual consultations. So again, what we're doing today is just opening your eyes to this great big world of Bitcoin, but please don't use anything we've said as advice. This is just us talking and trying to educate. If you are after personal custodian solutions, non-custodian solutions, that's something we help you with. What that means is how to keep your own Bitcoin safe. And you can always attend one of our workshops where you learn a lot more how to do this, and you learn how to manage, store, and control your own Bitcoins.
Coincompass.com.
That's it. So we do have to plug ourselves in there, otherwise no one will hear of us.
Exactly. So I think to sum up, because I'm getting really hot in here, there's no aircon or any moving air whatsoever. I think for most people, a hardware wallet is a good compromise between security and convenience. However, I think if you're going to store a significant amount of Bitcoin, and for some people that might be more than $100, for other people it might be more than $10,000, that's sort of up to each individual. You really want to reduce single points of failure, whether it's using only one manufacturer or using only one wallet or device or location or whatever. You want to minimize your risk as much as possible. Multisig kind of is not the silver bullet, but for example, if you're going to store a significant amount of Bitcoin, you really need a custom solution. And that probably is multi-sig with a variety of mobile wallets, hardware wallets, paper wallets, dispersed in different locations and all kinds of stuff as well. So it really isn't one size fits all.
And just on that point, Gordon, I know how just paranoid you are with IT and doxing yourself. I believe you just doxed yourself then. You said you're getting really hot, which means we know you're somewhere in the Southern Hemisphere. There's daylight. The clock behind you reads 5:45, so we know it's evening time. So you've just narrowed your whereabouts down to, I think, somewhere between 20 and 30 million people. You might want to be more careful in the future.
I'll have to blank out the clock. Yeah, the only problem with your synopsis is this is not live, so 6 o'clock when?
No, but we gave a timestamp. We gave a timestamp at the beginning of each episode.
Yeah, we didn't this one because I knew I'd dox myself. You're trying to be tricky. So I know I've talked and ranted a lot. I promise I'll keep this short, but I think it's worth going through what are the best practices and full attribution to myself, well, and you as well, because you helped me. We have an entire video series on security hygiene, cold storage best practices. So have a look at our YouTube videos. I'll link to that. And if you did want to buy any of our anything that I mentioned today, have a look at our newsletter. We have links to recommended wallets in the description of the video if you want to purchase any of them. You'd help throwing a few bucks our way. In terms of best practices, and feel free to stop me along the way, but I think it's pretty simple. Don't leave your Bitcoins on an exchange, move them off an exchange. Hardware wallets are good for most people. It's really all about how you store your backup phrase, your 24 or 12-word seed. If you have significant amounts of Bitcoin, definitely use multi-sig and a variety of different manufacturers. You may want to consider not using crypto wallets. So if you've only got Bitcoin, I would suggest using a Bitcoin-only address. And actually something that we haven't even talked about is the $5 wrench attack, which I won't go into, but basically if someone sort of, asks you to give you, hold your gun to your head and say, give me all your Bitcoin. Every hardware wallet nowadays actually enables you to create a 25th seed or a PIN that you can have sort of like a hidden wallet. So you're keeping all your real Bitcoin in a hidden wallet, but to an attacker or someone with a gun to your head, you can give them sort of this dummy or this, wallet with like $20 or $30 in it. So using that definitely. And basic security hygiene, stuff like use a password manager, use a separate email address if you're going to be doing crypto stuff, use a VPN, use an ad blocker, all that sort of thing. You can find in our videos. So I think that's about it. I could rant on forever and ever and ever about OPSEC and InfoSec, but please stop me.
No, it's really good stuff, Gordon. There is a lot more detail that we can provide, but for the sake of time today, we just won't be able to. Thank you very much, Gordon. I think we covered the main points.
Indeed.
All right. Thank you for listening, everyone. And please check out our website if you want to find out more.
Yeah, and please share this with a friend. It doesn't cost you anything, but we're not asking for donations or we don't have advertising sponsorship. So please share this. If you're watching this on YouTube, please subscribe and share it. If you're listening to this on our website or on your podcast player, please give us a 5-star review and rating if you think we've deserved it on iTunes, Apple Podcast, and share it on social media.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, everyone. Until next time, Faris.
Cool. You too.
Thanks for watching or listening. Please visit coincompass.com/free to register to our socials and discover other free content. Subscribing, liking, and following helps this content remain ad-free. Until next time.